Alrighty, wow, we have this Aquarian solar eclipse and it is a crazy one. If you're new here, make sure to watch the beginning before you go skipping ahead. We'll get to your sign and all of that, but it'll be nothing like the beginning. Okay, the beginning is where the party is at. We're officially here, you guys. We are officially in eclipse season in 2026 already. It is wild, insane. The next few weeks will change many people's lives. Now, obviously, because it really depends on how this is hitting your chart, if you have placements in the fixed signs, or if you have placements in Virgo or Pisces, or some of the mutable signs, you may not feel these eclipses like other people feel them. Some of you will have really major events changing and rearranging over the next several weeks. Others of you will likely be like, I don't really know. I didn't really notice much. So it also really matters how in tune you are with astrology. And that's why I do these videos, to kind of help you guys look for these things in your everyday life and look at how they're changing you and your life and people around you and all of that, and how to work with it, really, most of all, and the lessons that we can take from these transits. This eclipse is a freaking crazy eclipse, okay? It is a freaky deaky, like, just insane eclipse. It is a solar eclipse though. So that being said, solar eclipses start cycles, they plant seeds. It's not always a big bang that happens right around a solar eclipse, because the moon and the sun go dark in the sky. And when it's dark, we cannot see. We're going to talk a lot about darkness and light and what that has to do with Aquarius in this video. But when it's dark, we can't always see what's happening. It's kind of happening underneath the surface. We may feel like things are changing. We may see some things starting to change, especially in the days and weeks following the solar eclipse. But it doesn't mean that this is going to be like some big bomb that goes off in your life and shakes everything up and changes everything. Now, for some people, that may be the case, depending on where this is happening in your chart, what's going on with it, what other, placements, transits, etc. you have going down. Like if this solar eclipse is happening like on your sun or your Mars or your moon, or one of your, angles, your ascendant, descendant, midheaven, IC, then yeah, this may be a bit more of a, moment for you. But again, not always. So it just depends. Still building. It's going to be building over the next several weeks and even the next 6 months to a year. Eclipse cycles, and even farther than that, honestly, eclipse cycles are, they're long drawn out cycles. You can look at the shorter cycle of it, or you can look at the longer cycle of it. We'll go over some of that too, on how to really look at this and track this in your life. And yeah, so with that being said, welcome if you are new here. My name is Tawny Michelle. We are sexy aliens over here. I have an Aquarius moon and my Saturn in Aquarius, my descendant in Aquarius. So I have a lot of Aquarian in me. And so let's get down with the sickness, okay? Let's get down with Aquarius in this video. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Alrighty, you should see my lovely chart here on the screen. Look how sexy she is. She's just a little sexy alien chart, isn't she? Anyway, we have this Aquarius solar eclipse happening at 28 degrees Aquarius. This particular solar eclipse is happening in the sign of Aquarius. And this is really interesting because this eclipse is like a preview, but it definitely will be the underlying energy for the next several months, especially until we get to August and we have our solar eclipse, our first solar eclipse in Leo. And by that time, the nodes will be changing. So basically, this is a preview because the North Node right here is still in the sign of good old Pisces and has not moved into Aquarius yet. So this is happening right outside of the sign that the node is in. And usually that happens just because it's by degree, more so an eclipse instead of by sign. But it also gives us a lot of hints as to what is coming. In September 2024, I did a video on it, but the Pisces lunar eclipse that happened then gave us a lot of hints and maybe brought up a lot of things in our lives around that time that were hinting towards what was really going to be the focus of 2025 and even partly this year. So, and I remember that specifically because that Pisces lunar eclipse in September 2024 really brought up a lot of healing things, and I really got back into my spirituality and my healing journey at the time, and that's basically what 2025 ended up being about on many different levels. So anyway, so if we look at this Aquarius solar eclipse, and we really want to break it down, like what the hell could this mean? It could mean a lot of different things. things. For some people, it could literally just be bringing up the themes of whatever house that it's in, whatever house you have your natal Saturn in, but also the specific Aquarian themes. And Aquarius is a very interesting, and I think one of the most misunderstood signs of the zodiac. I do not put Uranus as Aquarius's ruler because I'm not a modern astrologer. I am a Hellenistic astrologer. I do incorporate some modern thinking into my astrology, but it's Saturn rules Aquarius for me, basically. But when we're thinking about the sign of Aquarius, really to understand it, we have to first go back a little bit. So number one, where are we at in terms of the northern hemisphere and our synodic cycle, the sun cycle through the zodiac, basically? We are in the middle of mother effing winter. It is cold out. It is frigid out. You can feel the air in your bones sometimes, but we are edging towards more light. So the sun is increasing in light slowly, but darkness still rules. And that's why the sun is in its detriment in the sign of Aquarius. It does not like to be here because it is farthest from its home in the sign of Leo. Therefore, it feels like it kind of has to give up its own individual light, its own individual desires, its own individual independence and selfhood for other people. Why other people? Well, because Aquarius is an air sign, and we know that air signs, being Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, are social signs. They deal with social elements, communication, speaking, how we interact, and our social dynamics with other people. And so with the sun being farthest from its home in the dead middle of winter, during a time where darkness rules, this is a time where it's not so much about what you can normally see. It's about what's going on underneath of that, what's going on in the darkness. And we see this mirrored back to us in nature. In winter, we're inside more. Like animals hibernate. Nature is dead. Like this is a period of time of like intense, deep internal reflection rather than like being out and going out and doing all these outside things. And so this is really interesting because not only does Aquarius, happen in the middle of winter, so we are kind of in the dark or death period of the synodic cycle, but also the sun and moon meeting together for a solar eclipse is like a blackout. So this, and it's so interesting because it's happening in Aquarius where the sun is in its detriment, where it's farthest from home. It does not like to be here. And so therefore, one of the things I used to say in a lot of my videos for new moons and solar eclipses, when the moon and the sun meet and there's a slight period of darkness, is that what nature in this universe seems to tell us about darkness is that creation happens in the dark. Not everything can be light. We can't have like a sunny day all the time. Like there has to be a period of rest, of, reflection, of introspection, of, depth and finding that depth and finding something that's deeper than the superficial. And this is what this time of year teaches us. Like I talked a lot about in my last couple videos about finding meaning in yourself rather than searching for it in everything outside of you during this time of year. And that's why this time of year, winter, can be hard on people. People can become depressed or feel like they're not living up to their potential or feel trapped inside all the time. And this is where we're forced to kind of face ourselves. We're forced to face the deeper things that have slipped through the cracks. And that is so much what Aquarius is about. Like the things that slip through the cracks that we don't always see, that's not always visible in a traditional sense. Now, darkness, the ancients a lot looked at as this period of creation, of raw potential, because it's a void. Anything can be created. Anything can be born, just like a baby in the womb, or like when you imagine something, you close your eyes, and visualize. And Aquarius is a huge sign of, being like a visionary. And so Capricorn, in a sense, starts us off in the season of winter and kind of builds this starts to build this foundation, because even though it's winter, even though darkness still rules, the light is starting to return. So we start to get prepared. That's why Capricorn season, a lot can feel like, okay, I need to get my shit together. I need to like change my habits. I need to work. I need to like do physical things, to keep myself busy or to get through this, to start building something that can work for me, because regardless, we are going into the light. And so we know that we're at the tail end of the synodic cycle and that we are going forward. We're going to something new here soon. And so Capricorn is like, okay, I know it's coming. It's not here yet, but I'm going to start getting prepared. I'm going to start building this foundation. Whereas Aquarius is so much about like, okay, how do we improve that foundation? How do we progress that foundation? Like, what about this foundation works? What doesn't? What's falling through the cracks? How do we organize this a bit better? How do we progress it? Because it is thinking about the future, because we are moving towards gaining in light, therefore having more clarity, having more vision. But we also, with this solar eclipse in Aquarius, are learning to see in the dark, because we are still in the dark period of time. It's almost like you've been in a tunnel for a while and you know that you're getting towards the end of the tunnel. You may not be able to like see it just yet, although we did just have this Leo full moon and that kind of shined a flashlight like showing us something. But either way, a solar eclipse in Aquarius is like, we know that we're in the end of the tunnel. Does everybody need a pep talk? Do we need to like, reorganize everything and boost the morale and get everybody prepared and ready to get to the end of this tunnel? Like, that's the way you can think about it. So if Capricorn builds kind of the foundation for the light to return, Aquarius kind of holds that line. Aquarius, adds to it. Aquarius adds both the airy qualities of innovation and organization, but also these like big ideals that have to be sensical, that have to be logical, that have to be grounded in rationale to some degree. Because again, Aquarius for me is a Saturn ruled sign, and Saturn's not all about living up in the clouds and in the woo. It's like about what's practical, what's real, what's pragmatic, etc. And so when we're thinking about the sign of Aquarius and the sun being in its detriment here, it's really seeing what falls through the cracks of those foundations and, fixing them, solving them, finding solutions for them. Now, in a greater sense, if we want to look at this more on like a worldly collective level, that's what we see a lot of times with like Aquarian transits and Aquarius people, that are big into helping people in like the world and stuff. It's like, okay, what systems do we need to have in place for, to fix these issues that we see in the world and leadership and government and certain foundations, industries, companies, etc. We're noticing what's inside the line and what's outside of the line, because Saturn is about boundaries and drawing lines. And in their sign, it's like the boundaries and lines between groups of people, social dynamics, social interactions, society itself, etc. So I think that when we are thinking about the sign of Aquarius, it is a lot about, again, both like the light and the dark. The light starting to return steadily, but the darkness, us still having this kind of anchor into the darkness, into what we've been through, what we've went through, seeing beyond the superficial, seeing beyond what we can see in the light by anchoring and sinking into the darkness as we've done, and looking at ourselves and looking at, what's going on a deeper level, that we don't normally, the introspection that we don't normally have when we're not in winter, So anyways, because of this, because it takes, both the light and the dark is what creates something. The darkness is where creation is born, but it needs the light to manifest it. It needs the light to be able to move it forward, instead of it just being, something that no one can see, or else you'd never see the creation. It's why we have ideas, but we don't always act on those ideas and bring them into the physical world. And so Aquarius is so much about, the light and the dark, because you can't have progress if it's just darkness ruling or just light ruling, okay? And this can go into so many other things as well. Like this, I'm talking metaphorically here, but this can go into so many other things. I'm sure many of you can get my point here. But like if we have, let's say, and this is very often with Aquarius, because Aquarius can have these like utopian ideas of like the perfect, system of people, of society, and etc. But oftentimes it's never going to be perfect for everybody, because there's differences, that everybody's different. So what you may think is the perfect system for most people, you're going to have things fall through the cracks, because that's how it is. That's how life is. Everything is different. And Aquarius shows us the beauty of difference, the beauty of things not all being, the same. Like if you have a large group of people going in one direction, naturally you're going to have people that veer off into a different direction, or that don't agree with that direction, or that don't feel comfortable going in that direction, or don't want to go in that direction, or criticize the people going in that direction, because there's difference, and so, but we can't have it being just a one-sided thing. And that's what Aquarius teaches us. When both the dark and light come together, that's where progress is born. We need two opposites. We need difference, because that's how we progress. If everybody just thought the exact same way, we would never really get anywhere. Like, it would just be the same thing over and over and over again. And so if we want to progress, if we want to get outside our way of thinking, we have to be willing to listen to and accept and be aware of differences of opinion. Because, it's like we could be working on inventing something for years, and it's like it just never works out. It's like every time we try to invent it, it doesn't happen. Something goes wrong. We keep running into the same mistakes over and over, but somebody else could come along and take a look at it and see something that you never saw, or know something that you didn't know. And as Aquarius, being an air sign, it's so much about knowledge, and the water bearer, which pours knowledge into the collective and into other people. And so with this, we need opposites. We need differences, because that's what creates true progress for humanity. Just like, our political system. I know some people may get angry depending on where you fall about our political system, which definitely I'm not saying is perfect. In the US here, we have two different sides, and it may seem like those sides are very kind of extreme, or, whatever right now, but I think that we do need different sides. Like, we do need different sides, because there has to be a middle ground. There has to be, or else it would just be all one way. And regardless of which side you resonate with or fall on, or even if you're on a side, like, I'm sure that if it was the other side's complete way, and there was nothing, like your side was completely not even there anymore, you would feel like, holy crap, like it would be basically start to feel like a cult, and group think, which is somewhat of the shadow side of Aquarius, So at the end of the day, Aquarius and this huge Pluto transit in Aquarius that we're going to be going over or having for several years, and this eclipse, solar eclipse happening here in Aquarius, is literally like all about, the root of it is about having a difference of opinion, being an original, free thinker, thinking outside the box. And so I think both opposites of the dark and light of Aquarius are so much needed here. And even like the mythology behind Ganymede, who was a mortal human, but the gods, like Zeus was obsessed with him. He basically became their water bearer. And so basically he's human, but he's hanging out with the gods, and there's this kind of dichotomy to Aquarius, this kind of polarity of like being human, but also having a vision, having innovative ideas that come from taking some time in the darkness, or seeing things in the darkness, whether that be, oh, I've been inside my house spending more time with myself, and I feel like it's helped me to come up with a lot of original ideas I wasn't having before, because I was so bombarded by everybody else's ideas while I was hanging out with everybody else and didn't have time to myself. And so now that I've had time to myself, I have more ideas. Or whether it's literally like, like there's people like Buddha, for instance. He was born into like a rich family. He was like a prince or whatever, and then gave all that up to go venture out and be with commoners and like normal people. Again, this Ganymede kind of energy of like, or not energy, but like pattern. Or if you go through a period of time where you've made a bunch of money and you live a certain lifestyle, and it changes your whole perspective on everything, and you're like, holy crap, like I can see why so many people are stuck now, because now I'm making all this money, and it's so easy for me to see where people get stuck, and if they could just do this and that, they wouldn't get stuck. But then if you lose all that money or go through a period of hardship financially, it's very easy to get right back into that old idea, or see now why people are stuck, right? It's like this shift in perspective from different walks of life, from different types of classes and categories of people, and just really the experience at the end of the day of being effing human. Aquarius in the zodiac is represented by a man, a human. And so it really is like this integration of the human. We can't be like on super mode all the time, but we can have this deep, profound experience of what it means to be human, and the darkness that can come along with that. And that darkness makes us want to think of ideas and solutions and theories and, new ways of handling these things, so that we can do better, so that we can progress, so that we can give more to humanity. Like, holy shit, I think this is honestly like the best Aquarian transit video I've probably ever done. I feel like I'm nailing Aquarius right now, which has not always been easy for me to nail because it is so like complex and misunderstood, and you know, it can almost feel a bit like a paradox. It's sometimes difficult to explain to other people. But anyways, so you know, we have both sides of the aisle and differences that create so much. That because I mean, just like you need a man and a woman to create a baby, you know what I mean, or you can do the IVF or whatever, but which still, I mean, I guess that was dumb, you get what I mean, but you still need, you know, a man and a woman to create a baby. You need differences, you need opposites. Like that's where you come together, you know, like that's where new ideas, new perspectives are born. You can learn something from the very person you think is nothing like you or has nothing to teach you. And I think, you know, with also the lunar eclipse that we're going to have in 2 weeks being in Virgo, this really tells me a solar eclipse in Aquarius and then a lunar eclipse in Virgo following it. This tells me this is going to have a lot to do with labels, a lot to do with judgments and criticisms of other people, and really outgrowing a lot of these things. I think over this next like at least next 6-month eclipse cycle, because here's the thing, I think so many people use judgment as a label, as a way to just throw away another person and automatically delete it in your mind, to where it's like they have nothing to teach me, I have nothing to learn from them, and I don't want to feel what I feel right now, is really what it comes down to. It's like judgment is a way to bypass any feeling, any self-growth, any new information or learning, because it's like, oh, they're that kind of person, so I don't really have to learn anything from that. And we have a lot of that in the world right now. And I feel like that's why we, you know, there's so much tension, and there is the opposites are so extreme right now, because there is no like learning from each other, or there's not a lot of middle ground to be found here, which is not really creating a lot of progress. This is so big over like these next couple weeks, but also the next 6 months of like, where have we kind of categorized certain people by just one thing they think, or one thing they believe, or one thing they wear, or what they look like, or who they voted for, or whatever the case may be, categorized them in our minds to shut ourselves off from feeling something or learning something, or like, you know, creating something in that moment. You know, it's just like on the color wheel, like you literally need 2 different colors to create a new color. You know, but we sit there and we're like, nope, well, that person's red and I'm blue, so can't do that. Or that person's blue and I'm red, so can't do that, you know? And it's like a way to just automatically shut ourselves off, and then no one grows, nothing's created, we stay stagnant. It's kind of like insane, honestly, when you really think about it. But anyways, back to Aquarius. So Aquarius is the water bearer, like really pouring out the knowledge, the wisdom that it's gained from the dark, and its visionary, innovative kind of thinking with the time that it has to not focus on necessarily just itself so much, because again, the sun's in detriment here, and the sun is our own sense of like individuality and selfhood and autonomy. So it's where the sun kind of gets humbled, and it's like, but what about, like, what am I doing with my life? What's my future look like? What about my relationships with other people? Like, what's, you know, am I aligned with the people in my life? Do they really know me? Have I been fitting myself into a box, or holding things in, or like playing some social role that's not even authentic to me anymore? You know, it really is like Aquarius is all about the social game, you know, how we interact with other people. And so Aquarius really is like, what ideas and solutions and theories are going to actually better humanity, not just ourselves, or can help other people. And I mean, even if you're not someone that like feels like you're here to like change the world or better humanity or whatever, maybe you're just like, okay, maybe it's your family, or maybe it's your friends, or maybe it's your coworkers, or maybe it's a team at work, or whatever. Like, you know, social media is so much this, because it's like, you know, it's given us, through all these Aquarian transits we've had over the last several years, it's really given us this exact idea of sharing our ideals, theories, solutions with the world, or with other people that watch what we post, to hopefully better their lives or give them information. Again, pouring out information, pouring out knowledge, so that other people are aware or can learn, or it may, you know, lead to the betterment of humanity in some way. So anyways, I think that, because Aquarius is in the middle of winter and we have this kind of like space and time, really take a lot of space and time for ourselves in this period of darkness, it really helps us to reflect and come up with new visions, new solutions for the new beginning that we are literally coming up on when, the sun basically starts over in Aries. Like it's like reborn again in Aries. That's why it's in exaltation in the sign of Aries, because it's the start of spring. So it's like the light fully returns and gains in power even more around that time. I think, it really helps us to come up with our own, or reconnect with like our own visionary during this time. And again, the sun in detriment in Aquarius helps us see beyond what's normally known or what's normally seen. It's like night vision. Like I keep feeling like I hear that term too, like night vision. And I feel like that's so good for this Aquarius solar eclipse. It really is. It's like giving us night vision where we can see beyond just like we can see what's falling through the cracks. We can see beyond the superficial. We can see beyond the surface. Because of that, it helps us to see things that not everybody can, and therefore come up with our own unique, original, unconventional ideals. Aquarius isn't necessarily always about rebellion. I think, if anything, it's a lot about originality and embracing your humanness, and therefore embracing your differentness. Your differences. And because once you do that, you then become kind of the trailblazer for others. Like you then become somebody that others feel like you inspire others to do the same. You share that knowledge, you share those solutions with others. It's like, I'm letting my freak flag fly, and because I am, it makes others want to, And so I think Aquarius is a lot about like one foot in the future, one foot in the present. It's gained this wisdom from the winter that's like, okay, right now, like, yes, we are looking towards the future, but what do we do right now? Where's our awareness, the sun, going right now? Some more like collective things that Aquarius can really rule is like social order, the releasing or the detachment of our ego for a more kind of intellectual perspective. Like Aquarius is about kind of detaching emotionally to see a higher perspective, a more intellectual perspective. So there is a lot about like the head versus heart with Aquarius in a lot of ways, because Aquarius can come off very aloof. It's not a very emotional sign. It's more about the systems and the dynamics and the social interactions with other people, but it's not necessarily about our emotional connections with other people. Although this solar eclipse definitely can bring that up. It can make our social dynamics and interactions and relations with other people, can show us what's going on within us emotionally there, because the moon's involved in a solar eclipse. So I think that, it's oftentimes how we connect with others and how we also stand out. So how we fit in and how we stand out, so to say, like how we are different from others, but how we're also alike. And we never know that if we just judge and label other people and call it a day, And I'm not necessarily saying that judgment is, evil and you should never do it. Like, I know it's very easy to, there are a lot of archetypes, or a lot of categories out there, sometimes our mind just does it because it's the nature of the mind. But when we can, be aware of that, it really helps us to create this middle ground between the light and dark of, and that's what Aquarius is really good for. There is a lot here about like releasing old social roles and also old social burdens, because again, Saturn rules Aquarius. Big Daddy Saturn rules Aquarius. So it's like, what social roles and dynamics and relations in our lives have started to become like burdens rather than, like it's like a responsibility, it's like I have this social responsibility to my work or my family or my relationship or like my children or like whatever. And so a lot of times this Aquarian energy, because just like Ganymede, like he was a human mortal, but he became the god's like water bearer and had to kind of almost be this like servant or like live this life in servitude, and which was like almost like carrying this burden, but for some like really greater good. And well, what seemed like greater goods, I mean, if you're serving the gods, it can definitely feel like you're doing it for something way bigger than yourself. But oftentimes it still kind of is like a responsibility or like a restriction. And that's why we can really see this kind of energy or this kind of pattern of like this theme of like breaking out of boxes with Aquarius, like either putting ourselves in boxes, like labeling ourselves, just like we may label other people, like, oh, I'm this label, I'm that label, I'm this label, I'm that label. But then there's also this originality that comes from Aquarius that's like, screw this, I don't want to label myself, which I'm more on that side of things. I try not to label myself too much because they all start to feel restricting eventually. So yeah, I mean, our the Aquarian nature, again, Saturn ruling an air sign, you know, a fixed air sign, Saturn being about boundaries, lines, all of that. It's like, okay, what labels or categorizations or social responsibilities and roles social boxes are we putting ourselves into that are just no longer aligned or congruent? Because we've been trying to be perfect. Again, this lunar eclipse that's coming in Virgo after this solar eclipse, this eclipse cycle is Aquarius Virgo, which is really interesting. A lot of analytical with like, they both deal with like analyzing, you know, for instance, labels, boxes, organization. And so I think Aquarius is a bit more of like a visionary, future-focused thinker, whereas Virgo's more like mechanical and like, I need to get my shit together and, you know, like organize things in a way because it's trying to experience this ideal of purity in Aquarius, but Aquarius tries to experience kind of the same thing with its utopian ideas. And so I think that a lot of this axis is going to be like, yes, maybe a lot of new ideals over the next 6 months to a year to even longer than that, but also accepting with a lunar eclipse in Virgo, a letting go, a releasing, a coming to terms with an integration that not everybody's perfect. No society is going to be perfect. I think it's going to be kind of letting go of some of our perfect ideals, our ideals of perfection, and also judgments, old labels that are no longer working out for us. And trying to be in control of how things need to be in the world or within ourselves or within our own world or whatever. It's like we're trying to figure out all the details. And right now, I think it's going to be more about envisioning and finding that original thinking within yourself again and letting go of whatever feels restricting, controlling, judgmental, criticizing, whether on ourselves or on other people or on the world, you know. And also, like, another thing about Aquarius is it's definitely like a sign that deals, it's kind of like the archetype of like the humanitarian and all of that as well. And Aquarius often deals with experiments as well, kind of looking at life in this experimental way of like, and again, it's where it's theorizing and coming up with these different solutions by seeing what's falling through the cracks in the darkness. It's almost like you're under a floorboard, the floorboard that Capricorn just created. And because we're still in the season of darkness, it's like Capricorn just created this floor, this foundation. We're under the floorboard, and every time someone walks past, like, all the dirt falls down. We're like, we got to do something about that. And so again, and Aquarius is really looking at like who's inside the boundaries, who's on the outside of the boundary, who are the outsiders, the you know, the ones that are alienated from, you know, normal society, and that can go in so many ways too. Like, it really just depends on a person's experience and childhood and what they identify with, to basically say, oh, you know, I really resonate with these types of people and I want to do something to help them, or I have knowledge I can share about this, or I have a solution or a theory that could help. And so I think that it's going to be really great to kind of approach this next 6 months as a very experimental time. It's going to be really helpful to really look at what is your vision for the future, and also be very, very discerning about the roles that you take on and what responsibilities and or burdens or responsibilities that could turn into burdens may come with those roles. And some of us may feel ready, especially if it feels like this is greater than me and this feels like what I'm meant to do or what I'm called to do. So I'm going to do it. Like, I care more about this than I care about the effect it's going to have on me. Great, cool. But we could also be contemplating during this time what responsibilities and burdens that we've already been carrying from old roles that it's time to reset, get rid of, or change in some way, shape, or form. Also, more archetypes of Aquarius can be the anti-hero, the vigilante. It's really like the outsider, like letting our freak flags fly, you know, embracing our weirdness, our humanness, and the ways that we don't always fit in with what we think society wants or what we think is expected of us in some way, shape, or form. And so Another really great Aquarian lesson, because Aquarius, because it brings up social dynamics a lot, it can oftentimes be about belonging, whether we belong or whether we don't belong. And something I've really learned over the years is like, you decide if you belong. And as long as you belong to yourself, really is what this means. As long as you belong to yourself and you're good with you, doesn't really matter if other people see you a certain way or see you as different or not really fitting in. That doesn't really matter. I mean, you decide you belong, and that's really where it comes from. There's no belonging police. There's no belonging committee up there making judgments about like, you're here, you're not, you belong, you don't. That's not how it works. So in a perfect world, we'd all belong and feel like we belong, but we do all belong or else we wouldn't freaking be here, That's the point. And I think that we all play our part, and that's the difference of, Aquarius. And so some cycles that you really want to look at. So the last times that we had the nodes or eclipses in these signs was 2017 to 2018. Now they were the reversal of these signs though, or the reversal of the nodes though then. But whatever happened during those times is likely being closed out, reset, started anew, integrated from that time. Okay, so what was going on in your life around like 2017? I think it was like around spring, summer 2017 and 2018, 2018. What was going on in your life around that time? Especially if you can remember anything from August 2017, because we had an eclipse that's very, very similar to this back then. We had a 28-degree Leo eclipse, and Mars was there with it as well, just like it's there with this eclipse this time in Aquarius. So it's very interesting. There are a lot of similarities there. But also, speaking of that, with Mars not too far behind this eclipse, it's about 10 degrees. This definitely is pushing even more for like change and where change needs to happen in this area of our charts, this Aquarian area of our lives. And then also the last time before that we had eclipses in Leo and Aquarius, and they're going to end up being this year. The North Node in Aquarius, South Node in Leo was 2008 to 2009. Definitely an interesting time if you think back, like what all was going on in that year, in that time, specifically related to, again, these themes that I've talked about, like Leo, the self and the desires of the self, children, leadership, solar figures, courage, embracing, yourself or selfhood or sovereignty or independence in some way versus giving that up for something greater than yourself, or having to focus on other people more than yourself in some way, sacrificing yourself or sacrificing your own wants, interests, desires for the greater good in some way. I know those themes were very, very relevant at that time. I was like literally about to finish high school at that time, and those themes were very, very relevant in my life. Also social responsibility and roles and burdens versus individualism and the desires of, ourselves, or the desires of what felt, more fun and light and bold or vital versus what felt like we had to kind of get in line, or we had to kind of like dim our light some to fit into something or take on something, so kind of think about it like that. And also, the last thing I want to talk about that's really interesting with this eclipse, other than the fact Saturn and Neptune, are now conjunct and Saturn rules this solar eclipse, which is so crazy. It's like Saturn moved into Aries and basically immediately teamed up with Neptune just a couple days before an eclipse in its sign. So definitely signifying major changes on the way. Saturn ruling this eclipse and being in the sign of Aries definitely tells us that we are more than just, creating change in our lives and with ourselves and with our humanness and with our social dynamics, but also charging forth on that change, feeling very motivated to dissolve maybe old boundaries, dissolve maybe old visions in favor of new ones. And those new ones, with the square to Uranus, the solar eclipse is squaring Uranus and Taurus, those new ones may cause some change, some shakeups in our areas of comfort, stability, finances, or a lifestyle that we've been living. Anything physical, material in our lives, it's like we may I feel like some people over the next 6 months are going to find themselves leading some kind of change because, again, Saturn and Mars, Saturn being in Mars's sign, Mars being in Saturn's sign, there's just such a strong momentum and a strong power here of change and taking on a new role or taking the lead in something to create change and dissolving old patterns, old ways of going about something to create change, and doing it even if it's against the traditional, even if it's against, even if it's uncomfortable, basically, even if it challenges our sense of comfort. And so this is definitely going to be, this is definitely starting a huge cycle. Now, like I said, it's a big deal, but it may not be like on the day of the eclipse, which is February 17th, I believe. Yes, February 17th. On the exact day of the eclipse. It may not be like some crazy thing happens or erupts and whatever. For some people, like I said, it could, just depending on how this is impacting you and all that. But for other people, it's going to be something that you kind of feel. It's like the tectonic plates underneath of you, like, is shifting. You feel like there's definitely massive change in the air. You feel this level of uncertainty. You feel this level of really knowing what needs to change going forward in the future, and you're really maybe challenging or feeling these feelings about challenging the status quo in your life in some way, shape, or form, but it may not manifest right away because, again, the solar eclipse is dark. It's planting seeds in the ground. So now, unless it's happening on like a personal planet, then it could be a huge wake up call, or it could be something that is internally realized, that does push you forth to make change. This is not a great time to force change, though. During eclipses, like, eclipses are literally like, a tidal wave, not necessarily literally, but more metaphorically, where it's like you can try to sit there and like fight it or swim against it, but it's going to push you where it wants to push you, like it's so, oftentimes if you purposely try to, start make some massive change around this time, unless it is manifested through you, like it, oftentimes, like what I would say is you want to go with the flow during an eclipse. If something naturally happens outside of you that you have to face, that could be what the eclipse is bringing up for you, right? Naturally, you're not like forcing it. You're not like, whatever. If something manifests kind of naturally through you, where you like really come to the decision that like, okay, I need to change this area of my life. Maybe wait to act on it unless it feels like, no, it needs to be now. Always trust your intuition no matter what, regardless of what astrologers tell you or what you think the astrology is saying. That's what I always do. It's my rule of thumb. But if something is intuitively being guided through you right now, great. But if you're like, no, I think I just want this and I don't really care if it's intuitive or not, so I'm going to try to force it, may not be the greatest time for that, okay? So the other massive thing, and then we will move on to the signs here, is that Venus and the North Node are coming into their conjunction in Pisces literally right as this eclipse is happening, which is also crazy, which really signifies to me this kind of overarching like theme in a lot of ways of coming to terms with something, integrating something, but also Venusian topics, women, feminine energy, relationships, love, and fated connections also, that could either be coming back around or could be new connections, really kind of starting to feel pulled, or like you desire something that's pulling you in a direction that feels maybe bigger than yourself, or fated in some way that feels almost like a desire, a craving, an urge that you have that you're becoming clear on, or that is pulling you in a certain direction. You could notice attraction, like themes of attraction, or changes in your attraction, or changes in what you like or what you're satisfied with, or really noticing where you haven't been satisfied and how to kind of satisfy yourself again. It's almost like a craving that you're trying to satiate, or that feels like you are, or something that you're having to trust or let go of or release, but it feels again bigger than yourself, like you're being led to this or called to this, or something that is being integrated around this time to do with our relationships, our sense of fulfillment, love, desire, satisfaction, interest, the things that we find beautiful, the things that we take pleasure in, the things that we find comfortable. Now, what's also really interesting about this is Venus rules Taurus, where this, where Uranus is at being squared by this eclipse. So it's like we are maybe willing to challenge, shake up, or accept uncertainty in a certain area of our lives to move forward to something that feels more harmonious, more pleasurable, more fulfilling, more desirable, that may feel like a soul level kind of like craving or urge or pull to something, okay? So that is how I'm rating this. Let me know down below how that all resonated with you guys. Comment down below. Let's see here. Comment down below. Yes, comment down below, sexy alien, for this one. Make sure to send this to everybody that you freaking know that needs to hear about this or needs to know what's up over these next few turbulent weeks. Again, remember, we're going to be feeling this build over the next few weeks, but even more than that, the next 6 months to a year. So just remember, the change and the things that come into our lives around this time, that manifest in our lives around this time, are taking us on a journey that is starting now, but that will build. So just keep that in mind. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you guys. Or wait, we got to do the signs. We'll do the signs now. Alrighty, Aquarius Risings, welcome to your Aquarius solar eclipse horoscope. Dude, if you did not check out the beginning half, I know I always say it, but you're going to want to. As an Aquarius rising, I think I did right by you guys. I think you may learn a lot about yourself through watching that beginning half, because we went really, really deep into the sign of the Aquarius and the dichotomy of light and dark in your sign and what it all means, how it manifests, all of that. So definitely go back and check out that beginning half if you did skip ahead to here after you're done listening to this portion, okay? So anyways, this solar eclipse is in your first house, and so this is definitely a huge, huge, huge time for you, especially if you have your ascendant anywhere in, like, I would say the last 5 degrees of Aquarius. So anywhere between like 24 degrees to 29 degrees Aquarius, I would definitely say this eclipse is a huge deal for you. It's going to change so many things about how you see yourself, how you look at yourself. It may be a time where you start to feel like you are getting back to yourself and why you're here and what you're doing here and what life is supposed to be about for you, getting back to your potential, but also seeing, yourself through the lens of maybe your social relationships in your life and how you've interacted or been put into boxes and social roles and responsibilities through the world or through the collective or through the people in your life in some way. And it's going to be really about breaking back open to the originality of yourself and creating change there for yourself. Okay. Now, this is definitely just really, really big. I mean, this is a time where you could be seeing a lot of the parts of yourself that maybe you have denied, repressed, boxed in, kind of suffocated or pushed down over the years. And this could be a time where you're kind of like uncaging yourself. You're getting your freak on. You're like, okay, it's time to really embrace who I am. It's time to really embrace, either this new version of me that I've been envisioning that feels more like me, or it's time to embrace these parts of me that I've maybe been hiding from myself in some way, shape, or form. Maybe getting back to like your sense of being like a visionary, or getting back to a sense of your originality, your original thinking, your own unique ideas that are outside of the box. This could also be a time that is really changing, like, you could feel a lot of change happening, and that starts manifesting over like the next few weeks and even next 6 months or so in your environment. We've been talking about that a lot lately, like how you're taking charge or taking the lead and who you're surrounding yourself with, what you're surrounding yourself with, siblings, neighbors, and any kind of karmic patterns there that need to be dissolved, that need to be let go of. But you could also be envisioning a new lifestyle, environment, or new connections on a day-to-day basis for yourself with all of this as well. So I did draw some tarot here. I have the Moon card, and this is really, really interesting, especially it's like she's got like this I'm pretty sure that's Egyptian, but it was like Egyptian kind of mask on. And I feel like this is definitely a time where you are talked a lot in the first half about like night vision and like seeing in the dark. This is again a lot of times where you are really seeing a new vision of something, but not just what's surface level. It's like there's a small light being shined so that you can see what's going on inside of you, or see yourself more clearly, be reflected back at you in some way, so that you can own and claim these wild parts of you that have been kind of repressed or hiding in the shadows, so that you can evolve and become and progress into a new version of yourself. We also have the Seven of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. So it's like, you know, it's time to start nurturing these parts of you that you maybe deny, repress, that you haven't wanted to look at, and really own them as like a part of yourself, because that's going to be how you move forward. Your own weirdo parts of you really help you to embrace your own originality, and it really sparks inspiration in others. So it's like your uniqueness, your weirdness, your humanness is all a gift. And I think that when you can start seeing that as a gift rather than a curse, that is when everything changes for you. So that is what I'm seeing for you guys, Aquarius Risings. Let me know down below how that resonated for you. And again, go back and watch the first half of the video. If you did skip ahead, you're going to get a lot out of that. I think it'll be very, very helpful for you. So moving on to Pisces Risings. For Pisces Risings, this eclipse is happening in your 12th house. So this is definitely a time for you about seeing in the darkness, seeing what the baggage that you've been carrying around, especially over these next few weeks and next 6 months, this is going to build. So the name of the game for you for the next 6 months is seeing where you self-sabotage, or the parts of yourself that you've hidden, put into a box, kind of set aside, put in the basement, basically, that you haven't wanted to look at. The parts of you that may feel more weird, vulnerable, raw, human, but it's like time to connect with those parts of you. Where have you been maybe hiding what you really want to do, or hiding yourself and who you really are, hiding your feelings about something, or hiding how you want to take direction in your life in some type of way? Where have you been outcasting yourself and not belonging to yourself, and then therefore maybe projecting it onto others, and not, you know, being part of your, you know, issue in some way, shape, or form? This is also going to be about letting go of old cycles, old habits, old stuff, so that you can progress forward, old addictions, etc. Where have you been needing to like do some kind of exploration of your mind, of yourself, of the different parts of you? Like, I really feel like parts work or something could be really beneficial to you over the next 6 months. And it's interesting because you got the Justice card here, which is when the sun is in fall, because it's in Libra, and, you know, Libra rules the Justice card, and Aquarius is when the sun's in detriment. Both signs are where the sun has to kind of face something it hasn't wanted to see. It's where it has to kind of balance out with its darkness. It has to see the parts of it that it has been maybe repressing or not wanting to see, likely things that have been going on or running in the background through childhood in some type of way, where you have been feeling as if you don't belong, or you don't, feel like you fit in everywhere. And so it's like a time for like a mediation, basically, with like whatever it is that you're shoving down, repressing, hiding, procrastinating on, running from, wherever you're kind of causing your own self-undoing, wherever you're self-sabotaging, or something along those lines. And then we also have the King of Cups on the bottom. For some of you, this could have to do with a relationship, or at the very least, it could be you really getting clear on your own differences, and again, belonging to yourself and coming into some kind of emotional fulfillment with yourself. Okay, so that is what I'm seeing. Also, for some of you with Justice, this could be you weighing out a really big decision in your life that's affecting everything over the next 6 months. For some of you, this could be like something court related or whatever, like that. But I think either way, this is really about, what is your own sense of integrity saying? Like, you have to listen to yourself before you can just listen to others. You have to kind of, again, belong to yourself before you're going to feel like you belong with others, and that's where you kind of start. So what is your truth? What's the truth that you've been suppressing? Where have you not trusted yourself? These are going to be really big really big kind of factors over the next 6 months. So, oh wait, comment down below, sexy Pisces rising. We're going to move on to Aries risings. For Aries risings, this solar eclipse is happening in your 11th house. And this is the start of a massive change that's going to take place over the next year, but more even specifically the next 2 years and even the next like 8 to 9 years, as you know, once the nodes, you know, come back around to these signs, but reverse. So this is definitely, you know, eclipses are major cycles and they start major new beginnings. And so this solar eclipse is not only clearing out old cycles and old beginnings, it's starting a new one, a massive new one for you, especially with the ruler of this eclipse being in your sign. So as an Aries rising, you may feel this solar eclipse in Aries a lot more than some other people might, you know. This is definitely going to be almost like you becoming, I think, you may not be completely aware, but I think that there is some kind of either opportunity or subtle underlying shifts, and not subtle, just kind of underlying shifts that are not completely seen right now, that you are feeling very called. It's like maybe you're feeling very called to take on a new role, to take on a new social responsibility. For some of you, that could be like at work. For some of you, that could be like, you know, in some kind of group or with a business, or again, like stepping into some kind of leadership role when it comes to other people, or joining, being a part of some kind of group or organization or community of other people. And it's like, this is really the start of it. This is where so much starts for you over the next year as an Aries rising. If you saw my horoscope for you for the year ahead, like a lot of what I talked about in there, this is where this starts basically. Okay, so this is you really figuring out what is your role in the collective. You know, you may be doing a lot of thinking, contemplating, introspection, but also, you know, coming up with ideas on how to make things better in some social way for maybe your company that you work for, or for a community you're a part of, whatever it is. It's like there's something here where you are wanting to take more initiative, where you're wanting to create changes. At the very least, for some of you, this could be you guys like really contemplating your friendships and the acquaintances in your life and the role that you play with them or the role they play with you and what's going on there. There's something here where it's like you are kind of like, you know, feeling called to do something maybe outside of the box, and that's going to build over the next several months. And you're called to do something maybe more original or systemize people or a team of people or a group of people in a more innovative way, or in a more you know, in a smarter way, however you want to phrase it, in a better way, a more progressed way, etc. But either way, this is something, it's like I feel like a lot of you are being called to something bigger than yourself this year. I just really feel that for Aries risings. But we have the Temperance card here. Okay, good. She's not naked because my last video got flagged. Or not. Yeah, the Empress card. I said Empress, right? We have the Empress card here. So again, I feel like a lot of you are being called to step into some kind of leadership. We also have Venus conjuncting the North Node right around this eclipse in your 12th house. So I think, again, a lot of you are definitely also focused on healing or making something right, integrating something, or have this urge right now. It's like there's like a part of you that kind of wants to get away or go on vacation or relax and enjoy the good life, but you also feel like there may be stagnation, or that you may have to sacrifice with the Hanged Man here. You may have to sacrifice some of the good life or some of the things that you desire or want to make change. But I think what the message here is with Temperance at the bottom of the deck is that there's a middle ground, mediation. Maybe it doesn't have to be one or the other. Okay, maybe it doesn't have to be one or the other. Maybe you do one thing at a time and then the other thing when you're not doing the one thing, you know, or maybe you can have both. I think that some of you could be with Venus on the North Node also, and Empress and Temperance, learning to moderate certain pleasures in life or heal from certain addictions, cycles, patterns, or self-sabotaging habits where you have become a bit too maybe obsessive or extreme. And so this could be some of you guys stopping or taking a break from something like that as well, because again, you feel like you are being called to something, but it's like first you've got to get yourself straight. You've got to find that harmony within yourself and your own life to be able to move forward. So that is what I'm getting for you guys, Aries Risings. Let me know down below how that resonated. Comment down below sexy Aries Rising, because you are, if you watched till here. If you skipped to the beginning, go back and watch that. It was a really powerful one that you do not want to miss. So we're going to move on to Taurus Risings. Taurus Risings, this solar eclipse for you is happening in your 10th house. This is a really big deal, and it's the start of a ripple effect, a massive change that will carry on for not only the next couple weeks, but also the next 6 months, the next year, the next 9 to 18 years. Like the eclipse cycles, they go on and on. It just depends on how far back you want to look and how where you want to look at, basically. So for you, though, as a Taurus rising, this particular eclipse that is going to be the name of the game for you for the next 6 months at least is really happening in your 10th house. And so you are really considering, like, what is your place in the world? What do you want out of your life? What is your future? This is really kind of digging deep and coming to terms with not only, like, kind of coming to terms with your own feelings and what you want for other people, what you want for the world, what your place in the world is, how you can deliver knowledge and information to other people or make other people or the world better. And this could be in your career. This could be some other huge goal that you have. This could be your family unit, whatever it is. It's like there's something that you want to progress and make better, or that you want to, that you're coming to terms with about changes that need to be made. For some of you, this is going to be the start of a major change in your reputation, a major change in either your career or how you systemize or go about your career. You know, what is the real meaning? What is the real cause behind what you do? Do you feel like you're making a difference? Like, these are all going to be really big, I think, contemplations that you're going to be pondering. You're going to be thinking about the people that you lead or affect, and how you can create change for something bigger than yourself. And also your own community of people with Venus on the North Node and Pisces in the 11th house, how you can not only, you know, deliver information and change and progression for people, but also how you can connect more deeply and more spiritually with, you know, certain types of people as well. Well, also, you know, with Saturn on the 12th house, there's kind of this surrender happening, or this releasing of certain social, either realization or releasing of certain roles, social roles, responsibilities, you know, that maybe you've been carrying, that maybe you're done carrying or didn't need to be carrying, or maybe that you want to take on. You know, Aquarius really makes us kind of question, like, our place in the world, and our social roles, our social responsibilities, and social responsibilities that have come to feel like a burden. And so this could be coming up right now within your career life, your long-term goals, how you're looking at your future. And with the ruler of this eclipse being in the 12th house conjunct Neptune, what some of those roles, burdens that feel karmic that you want to dissolve, or that you want to step into now. Okay, so we have the 5 of Pentacles here that came out for you. It definitely feels like you've maybe been going through a time of some hardship to some degree, whether with your health, whether with your finances, whether with your body, or whether with your job or career path. It feels like you have been trying to hold the line or stand up for yourself, or stand up for something that has been difficult in some way, or maybe stand up for others that have had a difficult path for some of you. I think that right now you're making a lot of decisions. Bottom of the deck, Queen of Pentacles, 2 of Swords. I think right now you're making a lot of decisions about, again, your future, Queen of Pentacles, of your job or your career path, or your long-term goals, and what you really want that to look like, and the part that you want to play, how, the Hierophant here, how you want to display wisdom for other people and communicate that for other people, kind of like I was saying. For some of you, it's like, I think that, so this is not going to be a message for all of you, but I am picking up that some of you are quitting a job that it feels like you've had to really struggle at, that you've really tried to hold on to for a while, but it just does not feel, you feel complacent, or you feel like you're, like, you know, trying to claw your way out of something, or like you're trapped. So some of you are quitting a job like that and feeling called to make a big change and step into something bigger. some of you are feeling like you are a bit like a new doorway is opening after a period of time where it felt like there weren't a lot of doors opening, but there's still this sense of like trying to control everything or trying to like hang on for dear life. And I just have this feeling that you don't need to anymore. Like I think that there's going to be kind of a time of surrendering some kind of old burden or old cross that you've been bearing right now, that has kept you perpetually feeling this sense of stagnancy or suffering. And I think that by letting it go, it's going to propel you forward majorly. Okay, Taurus Rising. So that is what I'm getting for you guys. Let me know down below how that ended up relating with you guys and landing with you guys. I'd really love to hear your feedback. And if you missed the first half of the video, go back and check that out. It was really, really powerful. You don't want to miss this one. And we're going to move on to Gemini Risings. Comment down below, sexy Taurus Rising, if you watched till here. I appreciate you. Moving on to Gemini Rising. So for Gemini Risings, this solar eclipse is happening in your 9th house of your ideologies, your belief systems, your world views, your political views, your religious views, travel pursuits, educational ventures, teaching, learning, all of that stuff. So this is definitely going to be a chapter that starts in this area of life and that continues over for the next 6 months, but even longer than that as well. But you'll really see it definitely over the next 6 months. Okay, so it's kind of like the underground or underlying theme of, I think, what you are, you know, the underlying themes of what you're going to be experiencing over the next 6 months till we have our next eclipse season. Okay, so, and again, this for you is you have Aquarius here. So this is almost like, I think, a reset coming in here, and a lot of change coming in here about your ideologies, your ways of thinking, school, educational pursuits, travel pursuits. And it's really kind of like, okay, well, what do I believe now? Or how can I make a difference bigger than myself? How can I share knowledge, information that feels bigger than myself, or that's going to be helpful for other people in some way, shape, or form? And you could be thinking about this in terms of communities of people, groups of people, how you want to get a certain message out there, how you want to really help the world in some bigger way, or really do something for, you know, the greater good in some way. But I think that it's definitely a period of time where you are figuring out your future and looking at your visions for the future, figuring out, wow, this is really interesting. Figuring out kind of like, what are your thoughts on your life? Where are you going? What is your purpose? Do you feel like you're on some kind of path? Is it time to like keep going down the traditional path, or is it time to veer off and find your own original path? I feel like that's going to be really huge. I feel like a lot of you are contemplating, or will be contemplating over the next 6 months, again, your ideologies, your theories, your solutions for, you know, your life, but also other people's lives, and also really considering what it is that you really want out of life. I think that's really big right now. So we have the Death card here for you, Gemini Risings, and we have the Knight of Swords. So it feels to me like an old way of thinking is dying. Like this really feels like an awakening, and we even have the Sun on the bottom of the deck here. So it really feels like there's this kind of old way of thinking or communicating, or a belief system that you really thought was 100% like correct, and you're realizing it wasn't. I love how this person's in like a meditative pose. It's almost like by meditating, learning how to control your mind, by learning how to silence your mind, by going inward, you are going through a massive change, a massive transition in your life right now that is really waking you up to a path that is, I think, for a lot of you, going to be a lot more aligned and feel a lot more in service to something bigger than yourself. But you can only really get to it by getting to know yourself, and also being curious about other doorways, asking questions, questioning yourself, going within, and I think taking some time and space for yourself, honestly, is what I'm really getting here. Like, I think that there may be some time and space that you need for yourself, I think if you can utilize your situation, because what I'm getting from this with this Knight of Swords, like there's cactus, there's like a desert out here. So I'm saying you may need some like space away or some time and space for yourself to really understand your emotions and to see what's going on within you, because I think that you've had this like kind of black and white thinking for a while, and now things are opening up. I also really feel like with this desert here, that I'm just getting like almost this scenario of somebody that feels like they are like a massive phase of their life is ending, and they almost feel like it's like horrible, but it's all in the way that you're viewing it. It's all in the way of your perspective, Knight of Swords. And so really what's happening is like I'm almost like feeling like let's say since you were little, you always wanted to live in the desert, right? But you never really have lived in the desert. You've lived in, I don't know, some like kind of really highly populated city or something. And, you know, you've done it because you've just been playing this social role, this social part. And like, you know, maybe you got into a relationship and that's where your partner lived or whatever. And now you're going through a breakup. And it feels like your world is crashing down. This is just a random example. I mean, for some of you, it could totally be true. This is just a random example to tell you what I mean by this. So it could feel like I'm going through a death. Oh my God, this is horrible. Like, I literally don't even know who I am anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, yada, yada, yada. But this may be the thing that leads you down to the path that you actually want to go. Again, there's like a like half quarter moon here. So you're going, like, it's almost like there's a building and understanding, like by you walking down this path, you will understand more and more and more about yourself and like that's where your happiness is. That's where your prosperity, 10 of Pentacles is. That's where you can finally get away from a life that feels unaligned for you. 7 of Swords, Moon of Pentacles. It's like you've kind of been living in this like deceptive world or this deceptive reality that hasn't been truly authentic. I know this message may not relate to all of you, so just keep that in mind. But I feel like maybe this is your chance to move to the desert. Okay, maybe this is like, yeah, maybe there's no one there and you don't have the partner you wished you would have been with, but like it actually ends up feeling more authentic to you. It actually ends up feeling more aligned, and then you actually find happiness, vitality, health, like you find life again through that. Okay, so by walking through this space, this portal of death and transformation, of this massive transition, this massive transformation of your mind, of your perspective, and what's available to you, and what you used to think versus, you know, what you think now, I think it's going to really open up a lot of doors for you. Okay, Gemini Rising, let me know how that related down below. I'd really love to hear your guys' feedback on that one, if that really resonated with anyone. Comment sexy Gemini Rising down below if you watched till here, and if you missed the first half, you're really missing out on this one. It's really powerful, so go back and watch that. Okay, moving on to Cancer Risings. For Cancer Risings, this solar eclipse is happening in Aquarius in your 8th house. It's going to affect change in your life for at the very least the next 6 months, but it will even be longer than that because eclipse cycles are just long. It just depends on what period of the cycle you want to look at. But right now we're going to kind of just focus in on the next 6 months. So this eclipse cycle is really starting some kind of new beginning in your 8th house of other people's money, finances, death, inheritance, taxes, how you collaborate with other people involving money systems, you know, systemizing money, investments, business, sales, you know, anything to do with the, like, you know, giving and taking of money, the exchange of money or possessions in any type of way with other people, but also kind of really looking deeply into, you know, sometimes yourself, sometimes what is hidden from you, sometimes what you can no longer see, sometimes the taboo or the occult as well. So this is definitely a time where I think you are there's a lot this is a house of major change and transformation as well. So there's like, this can be a big turning point in your life. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad though. I think that you are leading some kinds of huge change in this life for the sake of your future and for the sake of what you want out of your life and for your career and your long-term goals. It's like, I think there's so much closing out here, like so much old baggage. For some of you, that could be financial baggage, financial burdens, that could be connections and relationships with other people, roles that you've had to play, things that you've had to share with others. I think there's a lot here that's closing out. And again, like what was going on in your life in 2017, 2018, but also 2008, 2009, there's things from those time periods that could really be closing out or being integrated or let go of here, okay? So you want to keep that in mind, but I think that you are making massive changes in your life right now to move forward to a greater future, greater vision for yourself. And we even have the star card here for you, Cancer Rising. So again, the Aquarian card, the water bearer, it's like you are finding this sense of, it's almost like this solar eclipse is going to guide you. It's going to be like your star. It's going to like show you how to connect with others. It's going to show you in deeper ways, more intimate ways, but also how to connect with others financially, in a big way as well. And we have the Ace of Pentacles here. So it looks like it definitely is financial or material in some way. We also do have the Seven of Wands here. You may feel like a beginner or like an underdog, or like you don't quite fit in with some of the people that you're surrounding yourself with, or that you will be surrounded by in terms of, you know, this new venture or this new financial venture or career venture or vision that is guiding you right now. But I think that you'll get there and you will prevail. You may have to deal with some adversity from time to time, but I think it's important to keep your vision in mind and to really, I think this is a time of reflection on what you truly value, what you truly prioritize, and, you know, what priorities are being integrated into this vision, if that makes sense. Okay, so let me know down below, Cancer Rising, how that is feeling for you guys. I think this is such a really huge time for you. It's definitely changing a lot. You're really kind of looking at like, okay, you know, how can I do more with the wealth I want to build, but also with the vision I have for my future or my career or my reputation or my long-term goals in some way. Okay. So let me know down below how that resonates. Comment down below, sexy Cancer Rising. If you missed the first half, it's super powerful. You don't want to miss it. Go back and watch that. And we are going to move on to Leo Risings, my lovely Leo Risings. This solar eclipse for us is happening in our 7th house of relationships and other people. So this is a massive time that is really rippling out for the next 6 months for us, okay, for everybody. This is going to kind of start almost like a wave that's going to start a lot of other waves that come over the next 6 months and even longer than that, but specifically more noticeably for sure the next 6 months. And this really has to do with other people in our lives. It's a bit less about I mean, it's still about us. The sun is still in the 7th, but it's in detriment in the 7th. So we're really looking at where we either have had to sacrifice our own self, our own light, our own desires, our own vitality, our own wants, our own personalities, etc., for the sake of other people, or social roles and relationships and responsibilities and social dynamics that we've been in. But I think it's also like, we're really looking at what we want for the future and how the types of people that fit into that, or who we are outside of the relationships and the people in our lives in some way, and how maybe certain relationships and social dynamics in our lives have caused us in some way, shape, or form, or we have caused ourselves because of those interactions to repress our light or who we are. And so this is kind of an integration happening of really us kind of seeing ourselves in a new way. You know, a solar eclipse in our opposite sign, you know, with the moon opposite to us, it's kind of like we are seeing ourselves mirrored back to us in a different way that maybe we're not used to seeing over the next 6 months. I do think overall, this is going to be a time over the next 6 months of making really big new changes, new perspectives, new decisions, new paths regarding relationships and the people in our lives and the social roles that we take on or don't take on. This is going to be a time of being a bit more experimental in your life and with other people, but also also being very discerning about what you're sacrificing, what roles you are taking on, what responsibilities, what social responsibilities you're taking on. It's definitely going to start to become a very social time that's really focused on relationships until we get to about August. And so this is definitely a time where we're looking for the future. We're building a new vision for ourselves for sure. We're coming out of a period of like taking a lot of responsibility or having to mature, having to grow up, especially with this Two of Wands here. And I just see her like on top of what looks like Saturn. Excuse my nails, nail biter. And I just took my fake ones off the other day and I've been like going to town. So anyways, but yeah, so I think that we are starting to kind of get serious about our future and look at our future from a more adult perspective at this point. But also we still have these feelings, we still have these desires, we still have these dreams, these visions of what we want out of our lives. And so I think like the next 6 months I think it's going to be pretty good for us for the most part. I do think that we are facing a precipice or facing some decisions in terms of potentially love, children, and relationships in some way, shape, or form. The only reason I say children is because we have the Page of Cups here. We also have the Sun at the bottom of the deck. But I do think that we're getting more clear and clear on what we want and what that path is going to look like. But I mean, on the bottom of the deck, we have like the Four of Wands, the Ace of Pentacles. There's so much coming up for us. This Queen of Swords literally has the Sun on it as well. There's so much coming up for us. I think that we are going to make a lot of new decisions and changes socially in our lives and with how we view ourselves and look at ourselves. I think there's a lot of community socializing and celebration coming up in the next 6 months, and potentially a new job for some people, or a new income or car, home, something for some people. But either way, I definitely feel like we are kind of making a decision based on our hearts and based on what we feel is going to be best for us. And for a lot of people, that's going to involve relationships. And not just like a relationship either, but like relationship dynamics, like how you and the other person interact, how you guys relate to each other, what you guys communicate about, what the connection's like, but also really learning a lot about the systems of our relationships, like how our relationships with other people work, how we work, do we belong, do we not belong in some places, all of that. So that's going to be really the name of the game over the next 6 months for my lovely Leo risings. Let me know down below, Leo risings, if that resonated. For a lot of us, we're going to be like traveling, learning something new, really embodying our principles more as well. So yeah, anyways, I love you guys. Make sure to go back and watch the first half of this video. It is fire. So definitely do that. And we are going to move on to Virgo rising. So my lovely Virgo risings, this solar eclipse in Aquarius is happening in your 6th house. And so this is starting like a massive ripple effect that's going to ripple out for the next 6 months, but even longer, but we're going to focus on the next 6 months for now. It's going to ripple out for the next 6 months. You may notice some of these things happen over the next, few weeks especially, but it will be kind of an underlying shift that really, again, ripples out until around August or so. So basically, this eclipse for you is happening in your 6th house, Virgo risings. This is definitely a time where your health is going to become center stage. Over the next 6 months, you're definitely going to be focused on health and vitality. And not only just because it's in your 6th, but also this lunar eclipse that we have in 2 weeks is also in your sign. Both houses, 6th and 1st, deal with health. So the next 6 months are going to be a lot about new beginnings in health. Maybe you and also routine and job. Maybe you start finding a new routine. Maybe you figure out how to systemize your day, your health, your work a lot better, get more organized. Maybe you start coming up with more visionary, futuristic, innovative ideas for your routines, your job, etc. Maybe you come across like new scientific methods or research for your health or something like that. Either way, it's definitely going to be a time where health is the main focus. And you are learning to really focus on, understanding your health and kind of maybe experimenting even over the next 6 months, or trying some new things, or, really getting to the bottom of certain health stuff. But also habits, this is definitely going to be big for your habits as well. And any bad habits you have, any addictions that you may have, as well. And so, yeah, this is kind of going to ripple out the next 6 months. It's going to be very, very health related, but also sciencey and in theory, and maybe some modern health, stuff, or something like that as well. And this also goes into your 8th house. So it's also like, potentially really involving financial matters as well, like insurance or investments or income, money, debt, things like that. So this could be a time of you like really dissolving or paying off maybe old like hospital debt or bills or whatever, or you really figuring out how to, maybe you get into something really big like health related and it also becomes like an income source. You're really learning how to become almost like a servant to your body and your health, and how like certain roles and responsibilities take a burden on you and your body. How the mind affects the body as well is going to be really huge. Yeah, it's a very interesting time, Virgo risings. Let me know how that's relating down below. But you have the Knight of Pentacles here that came out here, and then you also have the Emperor. Nice. So this is definitely a time where you are really, I like really just keep being pulled to this owl here and the Emperor. It's like you are really looking at night vision, seeing what you couldn't see before and related to your health, observing things, like again, getting kind of very observant, experimental, detaching emotionally from it, seeing it more from a bird's eye view, seeing it more, becoming more wise about your health, about, you know, what's going on there. And I think like with the pyramids here, and I even said like becoming a servant to your body, I think it's like what you're becoming more clear about how you've kind of almost sacrificed certain things that have made you feel like a servant, or like you've been in service to something else and it's caused this social responsibility, or it's caused this responsibility that's been weighing really heavy on you, and that's caused a burden and potentially caused some health stuff that you may be experiencing. But I think this is like you becoming more in power over your health, you becoming more aware by being more observant, by being more experimental, building on top of the foundation. Like I said in the beginning, Capricorn builds the foundation, Aquarius notices the cracks in it, and the owl's like literally up here looking at these like cracks in the checkered floor in the foundation. And so it's like you're seeing how you can better systemize, organize, you know, do certain things to help your health, and like, you know, and build on top of that. Okay. With the Knight of Pentacles here, I think it's the same thing. It's like your body and what you have been like getting a lot more discerning about what you put in your body, how you treat your body, taking it slowly. Like this isn't about rushing through anything, you know, taking it slowly and looking at things again from a bird's eye perspective. With this person like sitting in the middle of like the road, I really feel like you're on your way to really realizing so much more about yourself, your body, and what's going on. It's like a lot of full circle moments with like the moon phases here, a lot of full circle moments, a lot of cycles completing. We have like the Chariot. I feel like some of you guys could be traveling or moving or something along those lines, coming into some kind of leadership position as well. For some of you, I really feel like this is a time to really trust yourself and trust your intuition, but also be very observant, be very watchful, and be very discerning. So that is what I'm getting for you guys, Virgo risings. Let me know down below how that all resonated. I'd love to hear your feedback. Comment down below, sexy Virgo rising, because you are, and go back and watch the first half if you skipped ahead. Okay, so moving on to Libra risings. For Libra risings, this Aquarius solar eclipse is happening in your 5th house. So this is really making a lot of changes over the next 6 months specifically is what we're talking about here. But over the next 6 months specifically, it's making a lot of changes in terms of what you truly desire, your heart, where you trust people, intimacy, love, and children. It's making a lot of changes in this department. Where have you been? I really could see like Aquarian 5th house, like you've been maybe trying to be in like do something in a certain way, whether that's parenting, love, connection, following your passion. It's like you're trying to do it in a way of maybe even like comparing yourself to others in some way. Like you're trying to do it in a way that maybe everybody else is doing it. Like, you know, maybe you're trying to be a mother in the way that people told you should be a mother, or the world expects you to be a mother. Maybe you are like you know, following, like going on dates in a way that society expects you to go on dates. Like basically it's like, what are you doing heart related, whether that be motherhood, love, or even things for yourself that have been too head that you've been too in your head about it. Like you've been trying to do it in a way that is acceptable socially or that fits into something. And I think that this is going to be a time over the next 6 months where you could be breaking out of those social old paradigms where you are making a lot of changes. And, you know, this could also be like where you have, you know, where you because Aquarius is kind of sacrificial of the ego in that way. Like maybe, you know, you feel like it's like your job to be a mom. Like it's like, you know, your job to raise somebody for the greater good or for humanity. Or maybe you feel like it's your job to, like, you know, your responsibility to really get some kind of passion or hobby or something out into the world, like write a book or something like that. Either way, I really see this as like embracing the humanness and the uniqueness that surrounds anything to do with your heart and anything that feels purposeful, fun, entertaining, loving, childlike, like anything surrounding that. It's like embrace your heart, you know, you go first, be independent. You have the Magician here, and you have the King of Wands here. I feel like this is like you have what you need to initiate something, to go forth. This is a major change here, I feel like, happening for you guys. I feel like there's been something that you have been maybe stagnant on recently or holding back, because I think for some of you this is like you not trusting in your gifts, or you not trusting in what's different, unique, magical, weird about you. And I think this King of Wands is like, have more freaking confidence in yourself and trust in your gifts, trust in your abilities, trust in the things that you're here to create, the things that, like, the Magician is basically like the creator. So whether it's your children, or whether it's a craft, or whether it's a hobby, or whether it's something that you love to create, whether it's a book, whether it's a new romance, like whatever, I think it's like this King of Wands is like, go, trust yourself. Like, stop waiting. Four of Pentacles here. Stop waiting, or not, like, you know, using this excuse of like, oh, I don't see my value, or I don't know if I'll be victorious. I don't know if I'll belong, if others will like me, whatever. It's like, you've got to trust yourself. You've got to initiate. You've got to lead the way. That's what I'm seeing here for you, Libra Risings. Let me know down below how that resonates with you. Comment down below, sexy Libra Rising. And if you missed the first half, you are missing out. So go back and watch that. We are moving into Scorpio Rising now. So for Scorpio Risings, this solar eclipse is happening in your 4th house of what you kind of keep hidden, but also your home life, your personal life. Like, this literally is like kind of the hibernation house, you know. It's also very connected to your roots, your past, and what's, you know, going on there. So for the next 6 months, this eclipse is causing a massive ripple in this area of life where you are reconsidering or making changes to, or there will be changes made in terms of your home, family, personal life, your foundation, okay, your roots. And so this can definitely be a time where you start becoming a lot more aware of, like, your ancestry, for, you know, for one example, or where you're from, or bloodlines, or what's going on behind closed doors, who you are behind closed doors that you're scared to show to the public as well, like your weird traits, human qualities. It's like you have this Leo 10th house up there that's like, we've got to be perfect and shine really bright and be super, like, badass, you know. Emperor 3 of Cups here. Like, I want everybody to see me as the leader and validate that. But it's like the Emperor doesn't need to, you know. The Emperor's got this owl on it. He's like, I'm a weirdo. I can see at night, but I'm out in the day and I'm just watching on the top of the pyramid. He's a leader because he decides that he is. He's sitting on top of the pyramid. You know, even though he's a night animal in the day, like, he's like, screw it. Like, you decide that you belong. There is no belonging committee. There could be a lot coming up over the next 6 months of your childhood, how you dealt with your childhood, your past, and really kind of untangling all that, going through all that, seeing all that from like a different perspective and all of that. And also, you know, your routines and health and job involving your home lives. Like, you know, with the ruler of this eclipse, Saturn in your 6th, it's like, what what kind of family for some of you, Emperor and Three of Cups, do you want to initiate? Do you want to lead? Do you want to build? What kind of, close connections do you want to have? Can you step into your own unique originality that you feel behind closed doors and bring that to life and really like create a lifestyle, create routines, create health related things that help you, health related structures that help you achieve what you want to achieve, that help you achieve the goals that you have? I think that a lot of you are really doing some shadow work, really walking away from maybe for some of you an old relationship, for some of you some childhood stuff. We have the Two of Cups, Page of Cups, Eight of Pentacles here. I think that, this eight, I thought this was the Eight of Cups, my bad. Eight of Pentacles. I think that a lot of you are, it's like you've got to build your way up, like she's going up this mountain and she's continuing to paint and focus, even though it looks like, she's had to go up a lot of these huge pillars, but it's like, okay, well, what, is she just going to give up? Like, no. I think a lot of you, you're looking for like your people, your social connections, but you've got to first belong to yourself and also be able to be seen so that these people can even see you, they can't really see you if you don't even see yourself, if you're not even out in the open, So that's what I'm getting here. I think that it's a work in progress, so to say, but I think like a huge message of that is like persevering and learning how to kind of accept some of these almost closeted parts of you or parts of your past, like skeletons in your closet that may still live in your mind to some degree, embracing them, getting down with the darkness, and then, so that the originality can come to life and that you can help other people. You can, shine bright and pour that knowledge into others. Okay. Let me know down below, Scorpio Rising, if that resonated. Comment down below, Sexy Scorpio Rising. Go back and check out the first half if you missed it. And we're going to move on to Sagittarius Rising. For Sagittarius Rising, this solar eclipse is happening in your third house. And this will ripple out over the next 6 months. So this is definitely a really big deal. It is in an area for you, though, that is a bit more mundane. It's kind of your mundane life, your day-to-day life, what's going on around you, what's going on with you on a day-to-day basis, the people, places, and things that you visit on a day-to-day basis, short travel, short trips, the neighborhood or town or city that you live in, the people in that neighborhood, city, or town, siblings, cousins, and neighbors. So anything to do with these topics is going to be likely coming up or be a theme over the next 6 months. As you are, as we kind of move through this cycle here, this eclipse cycle. So, this is definitely, I think a lot of you could be finding like where you have certain social roles, communities, whatever in your town or area, or maybe craving that, or maybe starting some kind of new community, class, collaboration with other people, or new social events going on in your area that, you live in your local area. Some of you guys could be traveling or transporting for work a lot more than usual over the next 6 months. Some of you guys, there's definitely some kind of big change here, and it may change your lifestyle or your day-to-day routine or the people, places, and things that you are around typically on a day-to-day basis. Maybe there's a change with a sibling, or something like that. Maybe like a sibling's child comes to live with you, like you get custody of like a sibling's child or something. It's just a random example. I'm not saying that's going to really happen to many people, just maybe a few. And I'm only saying that because the ruler of this, Saturn's in your fifth of children. So, and we have Jupiter in your eighth, and then potentially, then we also have Venus in the North Node in your fourth, and we will have a Leo eclipse later this year, which is in your ninth. So I don't know, but either way, maybe you are hanging out with neighbors more. Maybe you are accepting some kind of new social role or responsibility in your community or around you or in the people, places, and things. situations that you're around on a day-to-day basis in some way, shape, or form. Let me know down below if that relates, Sag. So we have the moon here, which is really interesting. The moon can be kind of our public life, our, our connections on a day-to-day basis. And we have this Six of Swords here. So a lot of you guys could be either maybe traveling to, or wanting to travel, or thinking about traveling to back like to a home or to a place that feels nostalgic, or wanting to leave your home in some way. We have the Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. There may be some financial fears around it, or you may not feel like you have the financial support to do that right now, or you may feel a bit burdened by doing that in some way. Like it may just feel like a responsibility that you're not sure if you can handle right now. Again, and I even think with the moon here and the Six of Swords, some of you guys could be starting to move into a mothering role of maybe someone else's child, or a sibling, or a family member in some way. Again, that won't be all of you, just some of you. Some of you guys, maybe your sibling's moving in with you. Maybe you're moving in with a sibling. Maybe a neighbor's moving in with you. You're moving in with a neighbor. Either way, there's something here where you are, I think a lot of you guys too are having like a bigger vision for yourself and your community, or a certain group of people within your community, and how you want to initiate that or move that forward. For some of you, like maybe you're getting into some kind of active role in your community, or advocating for certain people or certain parts of the city or the town. For others of you, you guys just may be going on more trips or traveling more, or making some changes to transportation and short-term travel in your life. You may be changing up what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and the lifestyle that you're living. For those of you that may be content creators as well, this is a really great time for like maybe starting a podcast, or looking into reaching more people. Even if you're not a content creator, but you're somebody that is working within your local environment to help people, or to run classes for people, or do things for other people, this is a really great time to do that. For some of you guys could be like, helping people that are less fortunate, or you could be looking into, helping maybe family members in some way. Like for some of you, this could be distant relatives or family members. But either way, there's definitely something changing up here in these areas of life, Sag. So let me know down below if that resonated. I'd really love to hear your guys' feedback on that one. That was interesting. And comment down below, Sexy Sag Rising. Go back and watch the first half if you skipped ahead, because you are missing out on a lot on this one. Alrighty, we're going to move on to Capricorn Rising. So for Capricorn Risings, this solar eclipse in Aquarius is happening in your second house. And so the next 6 months are going to be about a lot of the change that starts taking place in this area of life, okay? And so this is your house of finances, income, assets, possessions, what you have to yourself, what you own, if you own any property, land, etc. This is where that comes in, okay? So the solar eclipse happening here really shows that you could be making a lot of effort or creating a lot of change in this area of life over the next 6 months. That you may find that you are ready to change, this area of life. You're ready to change your income, or you're ready to sell or get rid of assets in favor of something new, or you're ready to own something new in your life. It's like, what do you depend on, and what do you truly value, and what's changing with all that during this time? Okay, so I think that a lot of you are also, this is going into home and family as well, and your foundation, your potential land, real estate, property as well, with Saturn and Neptune and Aries in your third, and Saturn ruling this eclipse. Okay, so I think that a lot of you guys are potentially dissolving old ties or old anchors, old connections to maybe a certain home or property or land or place of living in some way, shape, or form, and you're wanting to maybe add to what you own. You want to add to, you want to add to your assets, or disperse them in a different way, or systemize them in a different way, or experiment, or I talked about earlier, like Aquarius is really seeing what's falling through the cracks. And so you could be seeing kind of what needs to change, and noticing certain errors or certain things that need to change in terms of your finances, assets, what you own, but also home, family, property, real estate as well. and you could be taking that initiative over the next 6 months. I think some of you guys, and some of you guys may be doing it in an unconventional way. I mean, Aquarius is an unconventional sign here. Some of you guys may be sacrificing something for something else. So, for instance, like, you know, maybe, and maybe it feels kind of smart to you, but maybe to other people it doesn't. Like, maybe to other people you're like, they're like, what? Like, that's crazy. Why would you do that? I'm just getting that for some reason. But because we have like the Five of Pentacles here, and which can be a small period of time of loss or financial struggle or some stress about finances or material things in general. But then it's followed by the Six of Wands. So it's like either you are celebrating a period that most people would be like, what the hell? Like, you just lost, or you just sold that, or you really got rid of that, or aren't you going to struggle now? It's like you're like, nope, I'm good. It's exactly what I wanted to do. So it's like you're either celebrating or feeling successful from a time, a challenging time that most people would think of as like not a good thing, or you are celebrating after a brief period of loss and struggle or challenge or stress in some way, materially or financially. But I really kind of see you kind of needing to trust your intuition with the Chariot at the bottom of the deck, Knight of Pentacles here as well, to make a decision to go your own way. It's going to be really important that you weigh out your head and your heart here, and that you kind of trust like what feels right for you. I think some of you guys may be getting pulled to move to a different place or to travel or something along those lines. So like maybe some of you guys sell some of your assets or all of your assets and you're like, screw it. Like, I don't care what society thinks. I'm going to go sell my shit and travel or something, you know? It kind of reminds me of that movie, like Into the Wild. Like he cuts up his like IDs, credit cards, like all of that. And then just goes to live basically like as a nomad and then eventually off grid. Now, obviously, I'm not saying it'll be like that for all of you, but some of you could be. Yeah, I definitely think that you are really kind of like, you know, coming out of a period that was stressful, but also owning it and also feeling like, you know what, I got this. I know where I'm going. I don't care if other people agree or validate it or not. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm feeling pulled to. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying for you Capricorn Risings. Let me know down below if that resonated and how it resonated. I'd really love to hear your feedback on that one. That was really interesting. Go back and watch the first half if you skipped ahead. It was really good. And comment down below, sexy Capricorn Rising. I love you guys. That is all for this video, and I will see you in the next one.